welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I'm working on Scraplift Crafternoon. This is a weekly hop that I hostess over on my YouTube channel, and we have a great group of creatives that join us every single week. This week one of our ladies is on vacation, and I will have that listed below, but please check out her Instagram account and her YouTube channel anyway, because she has other things on there for you to enjoy. We will welcome Kathy back next week. This week we are scraplifting Sharmon Peterson, and I will have her information linked below, as well as a playlist of this week's videos. So here is her fun grid style layout. This is a really great layout, and it'll be fun to use up my main character energy. This was my July counterfeit kit, and I'm hoping to use up a few bits and pieces from the what I have left over. And I would even like to have actually opened up this set of stickers because they're so stinking pretty. But I also have way more photos than she has. I did print them all on one 4x6 card, photo mat, whatever you want to call it, and they are photos of one of my counterfeit kits. And I, as you know, I am now the main master forger over there. I lead the group, the team. I have an amazing team there, and I will link some information below about Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog. That way, if you would like to join us, you can do that on our Facebook community group. Each month we choose an inspiration kit, and we use that kit to shop our stash and curate a similar kit from our own stash without having to buy anything extra. And this kit here was in my March 2016 kit, and I always create really large kits, and they've gotten larger over the years, but this is just a series of photos of the kits, and we're gonna just have to wait and see how I manage to get all those photos onto this layout. I'm hoping it works the way I have it in my brain, but if not, we'll just carry on. So I'm gonna pause this video. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with cutting the paper, and we're just gonna get started. I'll be right back. All right, the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the branding strips of all of my papers. Now this purple grid, I will be cutting down. I'm taking 3/4 of an inch off off two sides, and I'm going to be using the floral piece as a mat for my layout. I know that the original layout does not have a mat, but I decided that this really needed a mat, and so that is what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue the purple grid on there. Isn't that camera side lovely? Luckily, I bought 3 sheets of this piece, so I have the ability to use the camera if I choose on a different layout. So my next step is I'm going to draw some wonky lines around the edges. I'm not great at doodling, but I'm just going to doodle a line around each edge, let my pen skip. I am using a brush tip pen in bold so that I have a little bit thicker line, and I'm just kind of doing this to close in my matted background. Off camera, I went ahead and used some scraps of white cardstock, and I matted all of my photos that I'm going to use in my grid. I did not mat the 2 that are not going to end up in the grid, and so I am using my second Versamat from Close to My Heart as a way to measure the mat that I'm going to be cutting, and then that way I can get a pretty good idea of what size it needs to be. So this layout is going to be quite colorful, and bright colors make me happy, so this layout makes me really happy with the way that it turned out. So now I'm going to go ahead and get these matted photos onto my mat. I don't remember what I cut it at, but you'll see here in a second that I have to trim it down just a little bit anyway, because I was just trying to guesstimate the exact sizing without getting an actual ruler out, and my bottom and that right side are just a little bit too wide of a mat, so I'm going to trim off the edges a little bit, and that will be good for that. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to decide placement on this layout, and I'm trying to get the items on my layout placed in the same way that the original creator has them placed on hers. I do know that because I'm using smaller photos that I'm going to have quite a different grid, and instead of an actual grid layout, I would call this more of a half and half layout. All right, my next step is to cut down the star paper into a block that I can use above and below my block of photos. I'm not cutting it in half. I'm cutting the piece on the bottom to be slightly larger than the piece on the top. And then I'm going to grab out my Omnigrid ruler. This is my favorite ruler. It's the one that I use the most. And I am measuring out how big I need to cut down that striped piece of paper. So once I get about the measurements that I want, I'm going to cut the branding strip off of my stripe paper, and then I'm going to cut it down to the size that I need. And it looks like I forgot to cut the width, so or check the width, and that's what I'm doing there. So I'm going to cut off just a tad bit of the length. I will save that bit of stripe because that length of striped paper I will actually use at another time. So now I have my striped bit, and I'm going to go ahead and put another piece of pattern paper below the striped bit. So the piece of paper that I'm going to be cutting and measuring for to put down on this lower left quadrant of my layout is just going to end up being white cardstock instead of pattern paper. It is going to work as a large mat for the photos that I have left to put there. Now I have 2 small photos to stick there, and so that is what's going to go there, and so that way I get all 8 of the photos that I printed on this layout. Now I'm just kind of messing around with the length of that paper. I believe I just took it off camera and trimmed it, and I've got everything pretty much where I think I want it to go. So I'm going to start gluing down the pieces on to this layout so that nothing moves, and then I can move on to embellishing my layout. I am liking how this has come out so far. I'm quite happy with it. My layout is not a direct scrap lift of the original creator's layout. It is just a mix of her ideas along with my own ideas, making it work for the product and the photo sizes that I chose to scrapbook. These photos were already printed prior to this layout being chosen for Scraplift Crafternoon, and I didn't really want to reprint them. I didn't want to create a 2-page layout about my counterfeit kit for 2016. I don't know that I've actually scrapbooked anything about Counterfeit Kit Challenge up to this point. And I had needed a layout to round out my March 2016 album, so I ended up printing these photos because they were all that I had left for March 2016 that I hadn't already printed and set up to scrapbook. And so that is kind of why I printed them small. I only needed a 1-page layout to stick into this album, and these worked. And it does allow me to tell a little bit of a story about Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog for my 2016 album. At this point in my life as a scrapbooker, I had been playing along with Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog probably at least 6 years, if not more. I want to say more because I think I started playing along with them right around the time they began, and I'll have to look and see when that was. But I feel like I had started playing along with Counterfeit Kit while we were in Germany, and we were in Germany from 2008 to 2010. So anyway, let's get back to this layout. I pulled the title Scrappy from a set of embellishments that a friend of mine sent to me. It was already a title that she had put together on a piece of waxed paper, and so that is going to go on top of my layout. I'm going to use the purple, yay, I actually opened it, the purple font for CKCB, and then I will use a small set of tile letters that I also believe are Shamel tile letters. I think they go with that collection that had crayons in it. I cannot remember the name of it. I bought a peachy cheap set of embellishments and maybe some 6x8 paper. I'm not really sure about the paper, but I know there was a bunch of embellishments in it, and I think that there was a sticker book in it, and that is where the tile letters came from. They're rainbow colored. They're really great color, right size, right font, and everything. My only problem with them is that the glue on them is not very good. So right now I'm just randomly putting some puffy stickers on this layout, kind of just giving it a little bit more embellishment in the places where it needs embellished. So here's where I'm going to come in with the tile font and create the rest of my title. My full title is going to say, Let's Get Scrappy with CKCB. I am lining them up on foam tape to get them mostly in line with one another. It's not perfect, but it works for me, and I like putting them on foam adhesive anyway because it allows them to pop really well. But I do like that they have that white background with the rainbow colors because it really allows them to stand out on my layout. So I'm just curious, do you have a favorite scrapbooking community that you follow and participate in with their challenges? I've already mentioned that I am now the master forger in charge over at Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog, and that's partly because I was asked to take over, but also CKCB has always been my absolute favorite set of challenges each month. It really helps me to dig through my stash and make sure that I am touching and using some of the older stuff rather than just hoarding it. I am really, really bad about buying something and just waiting for the perfect pictures or the perfect moment to use them. And I really feel like CKCB helps me prevent some of that. That's not to say that I don't have a whole bunch of hoarded things that I need to get busy using, because that is also true, but I do feel like that I have a very good command of what's in my stash. I don't forget what's in my stash. I'm not great about pulling things out to use them all the time, and CKCB helps me to mix and match product from my stash and just get it into albums with memories scrapbooked. So I'm finalizing this by adding some of the enamel shapes and some of the other things. I'm going to doodle a line around this white piece of cardstock. It looked like the original creator did the same thing on her layout. Maybe it was a stamp, I don't know for sure, but I'm just going to do a double doodled line around the border of this white piece of paper to help block it off and kind of draws your eyes into those small photos that I have on there. Otherwise, I think that this layout is mostly complete. I'll get the journaling done and you can see the completed layout in the pictures at the end. and I will have close-ups too at the end of the video. I am still kind of looking for some embellishments. I really, really, really love this set of embellishments, this set of thickers from Chamel's. The titles are just amazing, and I think it's a lot of fun. So I'm making a secondary title at this point. This wasn't my plan, but it is what happened, and so I used the phrase "this is" and then the gold "my," and I'm just going to put fave from the purple letters on there, and that will have something in each block on this layout that I have finished. I know that I'm also going to add a bracket on that lower right hand photo on the right hand side because it wasn't as large as the rest of them, and I want to fill in that empty space. And so for the most part, this layout is complete. All right, I got my layout completely finished. I hope that you can see where I took inspiration from her layout. Her layout was very amazing, and I love a good grid style layout. Mine is a little different because I used different product. I had different sized and more photos, and I also wanted to make sure that I added journaling, which worked really well for having this wider strip on the left side. I did create a really large title and a secondary title, so I'm quite happy with the way that this turned out. I want to thank you for coming to my channel today. I really appreciate those of you who take the time to like, comment, and or subscribe. Without your help, I cannot grow this channel, and I'm very grateful to you. If you have any comments or questions about this layout or about Counterfeit Kit Challenge blog, drop them below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Make sure that you check out that playlist down below and see what the rest of my tribe is doing with this particular layout. I am sure that you're going to see some very creative and fun layouts from the team, and you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye.